Resolved, homework should be abolished. How many people here have done homework in some point of their life? Look around you, it's practically everyone. Homework has been around for decades. Almost everyone who has ever attended public school has been assigned homework at some point in their lives. But was all this homework actually helping? This is the 21st century. It's time to open our eyes and realize that the homework that people have been doing for years is pointless. And actually it does more harm than help, as it causes too much stress, it takes away interest in learning, and it takes away too much of students' time. One of the main reasons why homework should be banned is because of how much stress it causes students. The Washington Post gives results of a recent survey taken by high school students. This survey stated that 72% of the students are constantly stressed out by homework. However, this is not just the case for the students who were participating in that particular survey. The results at this school district were very similar. When 8th graders at Prairie Point took a survey asking whether they believed homework contributes to stress, 75.3% of students answered yes. This is significant because it shows that in both surveys, about 3 in every 4 students is stressed out by homework. At such a young age, this many students shouldn't be stressed out. Unfortunately, sometimes the stress of homework becomes too much for students to handle. Kathy Bocella tells us in the article, More Parents, Students Saying No to Homework, about a 13-year-old girl from California who couldn't handle the pressure that homework put on her, and she ended up committing suicide. The fact that a young girl who was only in middle school went so far to end her life because of how miserable the homework was causing her to become shows that the stress of homework is too much for students to handle, and it needs to be banned. After all, if one girl was willing to go that far just so that all the pressure would stop, who's to say that it won't happen again? Who knows? Maybe the next suicide victim will be someone you know, maybe even a friend. Do you really want to risk it? Kathy Bocella also introduces us to 2 authors, Vicki Abels and Alfie Kohn. They have been conducting several studies on how homework is actually harmful rather than helpful. They've found countless times that homework not only puts stress on the students, but it also takes away their interest in learning. Can't you see why? After long hours of working on homework, all students want is a break. But often, homework has them working late into the night. So rather than being able to go outside and play, like all kids should be able to, they just go to bed. But when they wake up, they have to get ready for school to go over what they did the night before. It's definitely understandable why by the time they're in class, they're not interested anymore in their work. This is an important thing to think about, because by taking away students' interest in learning, they are much less likely to pay attention, which can, and most likely will, cause their grades to suffer. This proves that homework is actually harming students and their report card, rather than helping it. 8th graders at Prairie Point were asked if this was the case for them, and 54.5% of them answered yes. This goes to show that most likely, when a teacher is speaking in class, less than half of the students are actually paying attention and learning. One article, written by Dr. Justin Coulson, even compared homework to the old medical practice of bloodletting, where a doctor would bleed a patient, believing that the illness would flow out of the patient's body as it bled. However, in this case, the patient refers to the student, the doctor is the student's homework, and the blood represents the student's motivation towards learning. Bloodletting obviously did not help the patient, and often harmed or even killed the patient, just as homework does not help a student, and can often hurt their grades or even cause them to fail a class. Doctors eventually stopped this practice once they realized how much harm it was causing. So why are we still continuing to bleed our students with homework? It's time to realize that this practice, like bloodletting, does no good, only bad, and it needs to be stopped. Another important thing to consider is that homework takes away time from many students, time that should be spent with family and friends, being outside exercising, or participating in extracurricular activities. The survey conducted by the Washington Post found that 63% of students reported that homework always made it very difficult for them to spend time with their friends and family. Vicki Abels and Alfie Kohn have found countless times that students who receive lots of homework have much more tension in their families than students who receive less homework. This is because over time, students spend more time working on their homework and less time with their family, which, over time, can make it harder for them to speak openly with each other and cause stress for both the student and the parents. And according to the survey, this number is over half. spending time with family is not the only time issue that homework causes. As children get older, they have more opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities, but they also receive more homework. Extracurriculars are very important to students to help them gain skill, learn new things, have a higher chance of being accepted into college, or even just be able to enjoy themselves, as all kids should be able to. Unfortunately, in the survey, 61% of students had to drop an extracurricular that they really enjoyed because homework took up too much of their time. Why should a student be put in this position to choose between grades or being happy and enjoying themselves every once in a while? What about colleges? If a student drops out of an activity because their inability to do their homework while taking part in that activity is bringing down their grade, will the college not accept them because of their lack of extracurriculars? Or if they do keep doing their extracurriculars, will the college turn them down because their grades aren't high enough? If homework is eliminated, this no longer becomes an issue. If a student's ability to spend time with their family or participate in extracurricular activities doesn't bother you, what about their health? The survey also asked students how many hours of sleep they were getting each night, and whether homework was causing them to lose sleep. 68% of participants stated that homework was, in fact, often or always keeping them from getting enough sleep each night. The average number of hours that each student was found to have was 6 hours and 45 minutes, which is 2 hours and 45 minutes less than the recommended 9 hours and 15 minutes for teens and preteens. This means that at least over half of students are not getting enough sleep at night, causing them to be tired in the morning and in class, which probably means that they aren't really paying attention. Students need sleep. That's a fact. Getting rid of sleep is not an option. The question is, do they sleep at night or in class? Currently, homework isn't allowing many students to sleep at night, forcing them to choose the latter. This is a problem that shouldn't exist. The solution is obvious. If homework is banned, students will have a less stressful, more enjoyable life. They will have time to spend with family and friends, to participate in extracurricular activities, to get more sleep, or maybe even to get their own job. Homework is an unnecessary roadblock, and it needs to be abolished. As you can clearly see, the age-old homework that students have been doing for decades is not helping students at all. Plus, the amount of homework that students are being assigned has been growing and growing throughout the years. If we don't do something now to stop it, it will only get worse. Practically all of you raised your hand when I asked you if you had ever been assigned homework. Now I want you to think about it. How helpful was it really? Or, now that you have your eyes opened, can you see that it was actually more harmful than helpful? I'm sure you all agree that homework should be abolished because it causes too much stress, it takes away interest in learning, and it takes away too much of students' time.
My opponent has stated that homework causes stress, but I disagree because too much of anything is harmful, not just homework. One of the main reasons students are stressed out is because they aren't even organized. Homework gives students the ability to learn to organize themselves. There are also limits to the amount of homework a student gets a night for each grade, meaning that a student shouldn't spend an excessive amount of time on it. My opponents also stated that if a student was behind, they would get homework to catch up. But isn't the whole reason they were behind was because they did not receive homework the night before? If they would have, it could give them a chance to catch up without never falling behind. Students would not only be more stressed out than if they made homework a routine, but the likelihood of students being behind would increase. Therefore, homework should not be banned because stress isn't just caused by homework, but can be caused by something as little as someone smacking their gum. My opponent also said that homework doesn't do anything to help with study habits. But I disagree because the point of studying is to help students and review what they've learned in order to help them, and homework is just that. It's an assigned way of studying, and across 5 studies that Harris Cooper did, the average student who did homework had a higher unit test score than the students not doing homework. Meaning with homework, it'll help out students and make them recognize the advantage of homework. As our opening stated that Cooper, an author for Super Kids, state, the terms studying and doing homework are often used together, especially in upper level education. They both mean essentially the same thing, learning and preparing for school done outside of class time. Therefore, homework should not be banned. They also stated that homework is taking up their time or losing sleep, but I disagree because the whole point of school is preparing us for the real world, and the real world consists of time management. There are many adults that still have to study while taking care of 3 kids and working an 8-hour shift, and the only thing that helped them manage the time now was homework back then. Colleges also want students to show responsibility by getting their work done and also managing to get it done at home. Harvard College asked students, what about your maturity, character, leadership, self-confidence, warmth of personality, sense of humor, energy, concern for others, and grace under pressure? This shows that they want you to go above and show how far you can give yourself things to do. Homework doesn't intervene with activities and sports. A student who doesn't manage their time makes it. There will also always be small increments of time to complete your work because it's almost impossible to not have at least a second of time in between. Therefore, homework should stay in our district.
Paris Cooper, who is a professor at Duke University, conducted a survey and found that as many as 71% of people said that homework was not a major source of stress. Having homework has always been part of a student's weekly schedule to have it done and be prepared for class the next day. Why would anyone ever want to change that? Homework should be allowed to be given for students for 3 specific reasons. Because it improves their test scores, it creates a special bond between parents and kids, and it prepares students for their life outside of school. The first reason why homework should continue is because the improvement it has made on the test scores of those who completed their homework is phenomenal. As Cooper, an author for Superkid, states, the terms studying and doing homework are often used together, especially in upper-level education. They both mean essentially the same thing, learning and preparing for school done outside of class time. This shows that homework is an assigned way of studying, guaranteeing that students will do well on the test. Studying is a way of practicing and preparing for a test to get a good score, so if it's relatively the same as homework, will it not improve their test scores? Paris Cooper, who also has a PhD, has researched this topic and found that across 5 studies, the average student who did their homework had a higher unit test score than the students not doing their homework, supporting the fact that doing schoolwork outside school has improved the scores. Through studies, opinions, definitions, homework does improve test scores, and it will continue to help out students as long as it stays in our system. Another reason why homework should continue is because homework creates a special bond between a parent and a student. According to Robert Knott, an author for the Santa Fe New Mexican, says that homework creates a lifelong bond between a parent and a child. If the parent continues to help the child with homework throughout the years, it creates a bond because they get a better understanding of each other. This proves that homework not only helps children to get a better understanding of what's going on at school and outside of school, but it also keeps a connection when they ask for help from their parents. According to Scholastic, when parents read to their children while they're young, it helps develop conversation skills, word decoding, and expand their vocabulary. Reading to children helps encourage learning, and it will boost their knowledge. This helps prove that even reading a book to a child while young can help make learning easier for them. When parents read to children, it's creating a bond between them, and they're able to learn more each other by doing so. Having that connection between a parent and a child is very necessary. Homework is not a bad thing. Sure, it's a burden to do, but it's improving a parent and child's relationship. Getting rid of homework would break bonds between a parent and a student. Every student knows the struggle of having homework, but it teaches valuable lessons that students wouldn't be able to learn without it. Homework should be allowed to be given to students because it prepares them for life outside of school. An article by Andrea Brady says making homework a part of your daily routine will help in the future, especially when students move on to university. And when children are assigned homework, it helps them improve their work ethic, and they will be familiar with it in higher grade levels. This is significant because having a good work ethic will push students to do everything they do to the fullest. Work ethic is an important skill that not all students learn and will help students in their life outside of school. The final piece of evidence from the article, Managing Time for Success in College, says, time is one of our most important resources. Effective time management is a skill that most people need to make the most out of their personal and professional lives. To a college student, it can make the difference between a mediocre and superior performance. This proves that homework prepares students for life outside of school because time management is an important skill to develop. Time management is a characteristic that colleges and universities look for in their students when they are applying for their college. Homework may be stressful to many students, but without it, they wouldn't be prepared for the real world outside the classroom. Even though it can be a controversial topic, continuing to allow homework provides more positives than negatives. Homework improves students' test scores, creates a special bond between a parent and students, and prepares students for the life outside of school. If the average student who does their homework has a higher unit test score, why wouldn't everyone want to do their homework?
My opponent may say that homework contributes to academic achievement, but I disagree. Despite what my opponent may say, homework does not affect test scores. Valerie Strauss says, one prominent researcher, Timothy Keith, who did find a solid correlation, returned to the topic a decade later to enter more variables into the equation. he found that the improved study showed that homework actually had no effect at all. This proves that one man who is very dependable in this field actually found something but then refuted it himself with better equations and better statistics. Many studies have been done besides this, but few of them have actually shown a connection, and one of the most dependable was refuted. There is little to no strong evidence to support my opponent's claim. What has been found, according to my research, is either refuted or fairly weak. Therefore, homework does not directly affect any student's classroom or test scores. My opponent also has said that homework helps build character, but this is just not true. Some may say that homework develops responsibility, but to be honest, not many students actually do homework properly. According to a study conducted by the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, 91% of students admitted to cheating on take-home assignments, and only 23% of the students said it was wrong. If 91 out of 100 students just look up homework answers online, or if they look at someone else's answers, what exactly are they going to be learning? The answer is nothing. And students that copy homework not only won't learn anything, but they certainly won't be building character. Homework does not build responsibility if it isn't done properly. And you might say, well, just make them do it right. But hopefully you would realize that there is no way to do this, besides having a teacher go home with every student. And it is quite obvious that that's never going to happen. Nothing can be done to make students do homework right, and until something is figured out, students will always cheat. It is, when you look at it closely, a pretty useless system. Therefore, homework does not and will not ever build character. My opponent has also said that students should have plenty of time to participate in extracurricular activities and still complete homework. That's just definitely not true. Many students are part of some sort of activity, whether it be musical activities, sports, or something else. Valerie Strauss has also stated in the article Homework Hurts High Achieving Students, on average, students in our sample reported 6.8 hours, that's 6 hours and 48 minutes, of sleep on school nights, and 68% of them stated that homework often or always kept them from getting enough sleep. The average student doesn't even get 7 hours of sleep, and it's mainly because of schoolwork. The Nationwide Children's Hospital states that the average teenager does indeed get 7.5 hours of sleep, but they have also said that the teenagers need at least 9.5 hours to function properly throughout the day. The average student is losing 2 hours of necessary sleep, largely because of homework. And removing activities definitely should not be the answer, because they help build character, look good on college applications, and help develop social and mental health, says an article from Big Future, a college website. Therefore, removing homework is the best answer because it gives more time to do more things to do that they enjoy.